Good morning, Morai Rabotai, Bruchim Abayim. We are continuing on Masechet Rosh Hashanah, and we are on the Chaf, Amud Bet, some 13 lines down from the top of the Amud. Today's Amud is being learned as a Zechud Refuah Shelema for Rachel Simcha Bat Nahid, that should have Refuah Shelema. Has also been dedicated for Refuah Shelema of Daniel Moshe Ben Farangis Avraham, Binyamin Bat Rina, Kayla Bat Nazi, Sigalit Bat Yafa, Rav Levi, Halevi ben Leah, and Malka Chana bat Salcha Sipora. They should have all Refuah Shelema Be'ezrat Hashem. Amen. This Amud is also dedicated, as there is the Yortzeit of Rav Simcha Wasserman, Ava Shalom, Rabbi Lazar Simcha ben Rabbi Elchanan. His neshama should have an aliyah. His Amud is also dedicated for aliyat neshama of Shahin Bat Batya, that just passed away, with the mother of one of the members, that those who know, Bezat Hashem and Neshama should have tremendous aliyah from this limud as well. Okay, so we started the discussion of Eretz Yisrael versus Bavel as it pertains to when exactly they are physically able to see the new moon. So we mentioned that the way we perceive the new moon is when the light of the sun is directly kind of like blocking our sight. Not that they are in the same exact line, because that would give you obviously, if the moon is between the earth and the sun directly in the same line, obviously would end up with a solar eclipse. But if the moon is a little higher or lower, but it's in the same line still, which happens every month, every 29 and a half and some change days, then the moment that they get aligned, that is the moment of Molad. And for 6 hours before and 6 hours after, no possibility for anyone on earth to see the new moon, because it's so much sunlight, right? And also it's so small that it's not physically possible. But we mentioned that it's more than that. That's universal, right? 6 hours before, 6 hours after, nobody could see the new moon. And the Gemara said, who cares, right? Gemara said, because we want to know, when we question the edim, to know who is saying the truth or who is mistaken. We have to have questions that we could ask that would show us if these people are legitimate or they're not legitimate, their testimony is legitimate or not. So one of them is this. The other one was when we learned the line from Sod HaIbur, the Braita of Sod HaIbur, which is the question that was asked to Shmuel, and Shmuel said, I don't know. And Rabbi Zera had to go to Eretz Yisrael to find out. That says if the molad is before Chatzot or after Chatzot, it makes a difference. And the Gemara explained that Rabbi Zera found out what it means is, if the molad is before Chatzot, then perhaps you can see the moon at night next to Shkiat HaChama. But if the molad was after Chatzot, then there's no way for you to be able to see the moon next to Shkiat HaChama, because it's not been 6 hours yet, right? Now, in addition to this 6 hours before and 6 hours later, we mentioned at the end of Shir yesterday that really there is 24 hours that the new moon would not be visible to the people on earth, depending on where you are standing. Not for everyone is 24 hours, right? The 12 hours is for everyone. 6 hours before plus 6 hours after, that's for everyone. So for 12 straight hours, nobody on earth could see the new moon. But then there are 12 additional hours that depends where you are on earth. Now, the molad, when the molad ha-levana happens, the levana is right before the molad. The levana happens to be in the corner, if you want to say it like that, of not it's always in the in the south, obviously, but it's going to be southeast. So if you're in the east, like Bavel was in east of Eretz Yisrael, then it's different. Your sight will be more, possible for visibility of the moon than after the Molad. After the Molad, the moon is going to be in southwest. And therefore, the visibility would be better in Eretz Yisrael that is in the west, right? So those are basic things that the 12-hour makes a difference. That's what the Gemara is going to discuss right now. Amar Reb Zera, again 13 lines down from the top of the Amud. Amar Reb Zera, Amar Rab Nachman. Chaf Dalet Shai, Michsi Sihara, the 24 hours, the new moon is going to be covered from the people on earth. Ledidan shit meikara v'tam nisari mechadata. For us, meaning Bnei Bavel, it's going to be 6 in the beginning. That means 6 hours before the Molad HaLevana. Only 6 hours. The 6 hours that is, non-negotiable. Nobody could see it 6 hours before the Molad, right? But before 6 hours before the Molad, Bnei Bavel could see it because, again, before the Molad, the moon is in southeast, right? And Bavel is east of Eretz Yisrael, so therefore, in the east, you can still see it because it's there, right? So before the Molad, they could see it up until 6 hours. 6 hours is non-negotiable. After the Molad, right, the moon is more in the southwest area, so it's less visible for them, and therefore it's not just 6 hours, but it's additional 12 hours to that 6 hours, 18 hours straight after the Molad happens, the point of Molad. The Bnei Bavel, the people who are in the east, cannot see it because now it's going to be the southwest area. Ledidhu, for Bnei Eretz Yisrael, who are in Ma'arav, is exactly the opposite. It is Shit Mechadeta, is 6 hours of the new moon after the Molad, right? That's non-negotiable, 6 hours. But after 6 hours of the new moon, they could see it because, again, after the Molad, the moon is in the southwest, and they are in the west, so they could see it. But prior to the Molad, not only they can't see it for 6 hours, but they can't see it for additional 12 hours, subtotaling 18 hours that the Bnei Eretz Yisrael, the people, residents of Eretz Yisrael, cannot see the moon prior to the point of Molad. Fine. Tamri Sari Me'atika, 18 hours of the moon before the point of Molad. The Gemara says, okay, fine, that's this fun fact to know. But L'may nafka mina, who cares? Right? We'll see it, you'll see it when you'll see it. You know what I'm saying? So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Of course he has a nafka mina. Amar Rabashi la'achusha sa'adi. As we mentioned before, these are all important fun facts to know when you are examining the edim, because again, if the people come and say, we saw the new moon, right? And they are in Eretz Yisrael. When did you see it? And it turns out that they saw it 7 hours before the point of the Molad, right? Now, if they were in Bavel, that's one thing. In Eretz Yisrael, impossible for you to be seeing the moon even 17 hours before the Molad. Forget about 7. So if they say anything within the 18 hours prior to Molad that they saw the Levana, I say, you sure you saw it then? He said, yeah, I saw it. We looked at our clock. It's an expensive one, right? It was exactly, so we say, Chaim v'shalom, shakranim, right? Now this, not the common knowledge of your regular citizen does not include these things. That's why they also kept it encrypted, this whole the Braita of Soda Ibur, because these are things that the Dayanim have to know in order to be able to test the Edim to make sure that the information the Bedin is getting is legitimate and accurate. Says the Gemara, Amar Mor. Now, we mentioned that when Rabbi Zera went to Eretz Yisrael, he sent back 2 halachot, right? The first one was what we're going to see right now. The second one was addressing the question that was posed to Shmuel, right? The question that was posed to Shmuel was, what does this line mean before Chatzot, if the Molad was before midday or after midday, right? So that we dealt with. Now we go to the other memra, other halacha that Rabbi Zera sent from Eretz Yisrael. Sarich she'layla v'yom min hachadash. That if you want today to be Rosh Chodesh, if you want to be Mekadesh today as the new moon, as Rosh Chodesh, it has to be that the new moon was seen, was there last night and today. So in other words, if you saw the old moon last night, then you can't be Mekadesh the Chodesh today. It can't be that last night was still from the old moon, and today is Rosh Chodesh, because the day follows the night, and if last night you still were seeing the old moon, then today cannot be possibly Rosh Chodesh. Can't do that. Right? It has to be in the same day, and the day starts from the night. So says the Gemara Minalan, who says? Why can't it just say, well, last night was the old moon and today is Rosh Chodesh? Who says that it follows the night? And says Rabbi Yochanan Amar, because the pasuk says by Yom Kippur, Shabbat Shabbaton ulachem ve'initem et nafshotechem, is the day of fast, and the categorization of it is betish'a lachodesh, on the 9th day of Tishrei, ba'erev, in the evening time. That means the simple translation would be the evening after Tish'a b'chodesh, me'erev ad erev tishpetu shabbatechem. From evening to evening, from evening of after Tish'a b'chodesh until the evening, the next evening, which would be the night after the 10th of Tishrei, would be the fast of Yom Kippur, right? So it qualifies it as starting the Yom Tov, the Shabbat Shabbaton hu lachem. The Shabbat Shabbaton starts from nightfall until nightfall. Not from daytime to daytime, but from nightfall to nightfall. So, therefore, all of the days that are called Shabbat, every holiday, and when the Psukim talk about holiday, Rosh Chodesh is one of them. They start from the night, and they go until the next night. So the day really follows the night before. Not that the day starts from, Alot Shachar, and it goes until the next Alot Shachar, right? Not like a Goyish day, but rather from nightfall, says the Gemara. This is one way of understanding it. Resh Lakish Amar, and this is Rabbi Yochanan versus Resh Lakish. Resh Lakish says, no, we learn it from Pesach. Because by Pesach there's a mitzvah to eat matzah. And by that it says Barishon, Ba'arba, but first month of the year, which we start counting from Nisan, Ba'arba Asar Yom Lachodesh Ba'erev, right, on the 14th day of Nisan, Ba'erev, the evening after 14, the nightfall after 14, Tochlu Matzot, you shall eat matzot until when? Ad Yom Ha'echad Ve'esrim Lachodesh Ba'erev, until the 21st day, Ba'erev, which means the night after 21st day of Nisan, which is Motzei Pesach, right? So Motzei Pesach, the night of 22nd day of Nisan, you could already eat chametz. right? So you see again, the same concept. The Pesach starts from night of 15th and it goes until the night of 22nd. So you see that Yamim Tovim start and end from nightfall to nightfall, and the day is Nimshach Achar Halayla. So hence, the Gemara is saying, by Rosh Chodesh also, the Rosh Chodesh follows the night before. So if you saw the old moon the night before, there's no way on earth that today is Rosh Chodesh. It follows, if you tell me last night at 10 o'clock p.m. was Friday, so today cannot be Shabbat. That's how it works. Is that we call them Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, the way we do it, but for Chagim and Yamim Tovim, the day follows the night before. And therefore, if I know the night before was the moon, the last moon, then it can't be that today is Rosh Chodesh. Now, is there any practical difference between these two psukim that the Gemara brought as a support? We learned in one of them that the day follows the night in Yom Kippur. In the other one, we learned that the day follows the night in Pesach. Chazaku Baruch. Doesn't seem like it, right? He knows that if I'm asking that question, something is coming, right? But he's like, I cannot feel what's coming, right? It doesn't seem like it should have any difference. And that's exactly what the Gemara's position is in the Havam. He goes, wait a second, what's the difference, right? And indeed, Abaye said there's no difference. Mashma'u dorshin ika b'nai. We're going to see that. I'm jumping the gun, ahead of myself. Abaye says there's no difference. It's just which pasuk you darshan from. It's not really that different. So let's actually get inside the Gemara and learn the words. Says the Gemara. So Resh Lakish said, Ad yom ha'echad ve'esrim lechodesh, until the 21st day of the month of Nisan, ba'erev, in the afternoon, in the evening time after that, which means the night of 22nd. And therefore from here you see that all of the Chagim, Rosh Chodesh included, goes after the night before. And therefore if you have the night before as the last moon, the old moon, it cannot be Rosh Chodesh today. To which the Gemara asks, "My benayu." So what's the difference between Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish's drasha? Whether you learn from Yom Kippur, you learn from Pesach, who cares? Each one of them should agree with the other one, right? Abaye says, yeah, enachinami, they're the same, mamash the same. Abaye amar mashmau dorshini ka benayu. It's just which pasuk you want to dash in from. It doesn't have a halachic significance. And says the Gemara Rava Amar says no. It actually has halachic significance. Why? Rava Amar chatzot laila ika benayu. The difference is chatzot laila. What does that mean? What does that mean? Obviously, by Yom Kippur, we go after the nightfall, the shkia, the nighttime. So nighttime of the 9th going to the 10th is where it starts. Right? So if you compare and learn Rosh Chodesh from that, it would be that after Shkia, any time that it was seen, the moon, if the old moon was seen, forget about it. Tomorrow cannot be Rosh Chodesh. Right? Versus, if you learn from Pesach, the pasuk is speaking about the mitzvah of eating matzah 7 days. Right? What's the mitzvah of eating matzah 7 days? Well, you have an issur of eating chametz, the full 7 days, but the mitzvah of eating matzah, not chametz, really starts from chatzot laila of the night of Pesach, from halachic midnight and on. Why? Because the first matzah that you eat, it's a mitzvah by itself. The first matzah that you eat, the night of Pesach, right, it has its own psukim, right, ba'erev tochlu matzot, and then al matzot umrorim tochlu, that you eat it with korban Pesach. But to eat matzah alone, without korban Pesach, the rest of the chag, which is the topic of this pasuk, of barishon barba asar tochlu matzot, Ad yom ha'echad ve'esrim lechodesh ba'erev, that is talking about the next action, so to speak, after your Pesach night mitzvah is over, which is a separate mitzvah of eating it not alone, but eating it with Korban Pesach. So that starts from Chatzot and on. So if, says Rava, if you learn from Pesach, not from Yom Kippur, then the first few hours of the night, it's not part of the new night. So you could, technically speaking, have a reality that you would see the old moon at night, and yet it would be Rosh Chodesh tomorrow, because after Chatzot you didn't see it, right? After Chatzot you didn't see it, so therefore it will be fine because you're not in transgression of the day following the night. Because following the night means following the night from Chatzot and on. And I didn't see the old moon from Chatzot and on, and therefore I'm good to go. So that would be the nuanced difference between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, according to the Rava's understanding that Pesach and Yom Kippur are telling two different stories. Says Gemara, Amar Rab Zera, we're very much in mode of Rab Zera, right? So another thing that Rab Zera said, this time in the name of Rab Nachman, is Kol Sfeika Lekame Shadinan. Whenever we have Safek, so we spoke about Sfeika de Yoma, right? We spoke about the fact that we have Yom Tov Sheni in Chutz La'aretz, and nowadays we keep it because Minhag Avotenu Bi'adenu. We keep the Minhag of olden generations. But the way we observe the 2 days of Yom Tov is the day of and the tomorrow of, right? Not the day before. So if Pesach is supposed to be on the 15th of Nisan, we observe the 15th of Nisan and 16th of Nisan based on our calendar, right? In other words, every Rosh Chodesh could be, and this makes sense, because every Chodesh could be either 29 days or 30 days. It can't be less, and it can't be more. It can't be 28 days. There's no such thing, right? In English, you would find such a thing for 1 month. And it can't be 31 days. It's either because the molad is 29 plus days. So either you're going to round it up down or round it up. It's going to be either 29 days or 30 days. So either the 30 days is going to be Rosh Chodesh, or the 31st day is going to be Rosh Chodesh, right? That's how it is. So therefore, whenever you have Safek, the 15th of Nisan either is going to fall on 15th of Nisan or 16th of Nisan, because maybe, right, the Chodesh previously was Chaser, right? And therefore, the 15th is today. Or maybe it was Maleh, and the 15th is really tomorrow. We're counting it as 16, but it's really 15, right? So therefore, every Safek, we send it ahead, and that's how we keep the 2 days of Yom Tov, right? Ein anu, in the words of Rashi, Ein anu srichin lahakdim Pesach or Sukkot b'Yud. We don't have to keep Pesach or Sukkot on 14th of Tishrei or 14th of Nisan, which would be Yom Shloshim Shel Adar Veshel Elul, which would be if you have 2 Chaser dates, like 2 Chaser months before, and therefore it would pull back the actual Yom Tov to what we call 14th of Tishrei, really is 15th of Tishrei. Machamat Safek Shema Kilshu Bedin et HaChodesh B'Yom 29, because maybe the 29th day was Rosh Chodesh, right? Because 29 days is never Rosh Chodesh. It's either 30th, right, or the 31st. So therefore, it always goes ahead. Because maybe it's 30, maybe it's 31st. So that would be 15th and 16th, right? That's a very pashut, simple cheshbon, right? The way we are mekadesh the chodesh, it's always either the normal or a chodesh meubar, right? The next day. So therefore, It's always the 15th, based on your cheshbon, or the 16th, which would be the next day. Maybe it should have been chaser, and we did maleh, and therefore 16 really is 15. Fine. Says the Gemara, a simple question. You ready for a simple question? Can anyone guess the question of the Gemara? Worth looking ahead, right? Can anyone guess? The simple question is, how about if they did this 2 months, if I had 2 months that were chaser, right? Imagine if Av and Elul would be chaser. So Rosh Chodesh was, in reality, a day earlier, twice in a row. And therefore, you are now 2 days back. So really, Pesach should be, or in this case, Sukkot should be on 14th of what you call 14th of Tishrei, really is 15th of Tishrei. Because one of those 2 months was not supposed to be chaser, and you counted both of them chaser, and now you're in trouble. Maybe the Bet Din, I don't know what the Bet Din did. Maybe both of the months became chaser, right? So why, if you're at, or already at the topic of being concerned about us not knowing what the Bet Din did, because that's the whole thing of keeping 2 days, right? The Bet Din tries their best. They send shluchim out to notify us what they announced. We don't know. So we say, whoa, maybe today is Rosh Chodesh, maybe tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh, right? Which would mean maybe 15 days from now is Pesach, maybe 16 days from now is Pesach. So therefore we keep 15 and 16, right? We understand that. But if that's the safek, why don't you say, well, we don't know when they were Mekadesh, so maybe they were Mekadesh last month on the 30th day, and this month on the 30th day, and which would mean that now we are a day ahead, and really yesterday is what we think is today. And therefore, Pesach should be celebrated on 14th of Nisan, based on the dates on our calendar, and Eretz Yisrael really is the day ahead. Why aren't we concerned about that? Isn't that the same exact chashash? It's a fair question. If we really are not aware of what they do in Eretz Yisrael, because they're just sitting in Bavel, and we don't know if the Chodesh before was Chaser and the Chodesh before that was, so then we have to have this. You're talking about Karet and Pesach, right? You're talking about Karet and Yom Kippur. So says the Gemara, let's read it. Remember the Chamesar ve'Shitzar Avdinan Arbesar lo Avdinan. You want to say that we do 15th and 16th, but we don't do 14th? V'liabed nami Arbesar. Why not? Let us also celebrate 14th and have, as if 3-day Yom Tov was not bad enough. They're suggesting that we should have 4-day Yom Tov, right? Imagine a 3-day Yom Tov and Shabbat on top of it. It would be awesome, right? Says the Gemara, like the blood pressure goes up, and he suggested even, like, says the Gemara, Dilma, what would be the chashash? Dilma, chasrua le'av v'chasrua le'elul. Maybe they made Av Chaser a 29-day Chodesh and Elul Chaser a 29 Chodesh, and therefore the real calendar is a day behind from what you're counting, not ahead, right? And therefore, really, 14th of Tishrei is Chag HaSukkot, not 15th. The Gemara says that is not a chashash. We are not concerned about that. You know why? Because you have ample time for people to know, what a big deal this is. Usually, it's one after the other, right? Chaser maleh, chaser maleh, chaser maleh. That's how it works, right? So if you have Av Chaser, which is, always that way, and then Elul also ends up being Chaser, everyone is going to start talking. And from Rosh Chodesh Elul, until the Chag is a month and a half, right? That's ample, that's enough time for the news to travel all over the place, and everyone's going to know that the month a day behind, and therefore we're not concerned that people are going to make that mistake and not, come to celebrate the Chag of Sukkot on a wrong date. So says the Gemara, Terei Yarchi Chasiri Kala Itlu. If you have two back-to-back months that are Chaser, already people are going to know about it. Why? Because again, we gave an example of Av and Elul, right? The same would be with Tevet and Shvat, right? Tevet is always Chaser, and if they make Shvat also Chaser, and then you have Adar and Nisan, by the time you get to there, for sure everyone knows when the Chodesh Nisan is going to be, right? The Tevet Chiseru Mimanafshach Keseder Halevana, that's going to be always Chaser. Be'echad Male ve'echad Chaser. Ve'im Ita the Chasru leShvat, and if it's true that the Betin also made Shvat Chaser, Kevar Yatza Akol, already, so much before Pesach, you already know that the day is going to be one day off. Uba etzlenu, and even us in Bavel, we are going to know about it by the time the Chag comes around, the Pesach comes around, and therefore we're not concerned about it. So says the Gemara, Levi Ikla. Kind of out of time, but let's start this. This is a very interesting one, right? You want like an English sarcastic comment? This is one. Levi comes from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and the date in Bavel is 11th of Tishrei. So people are enjoying their steaks and their kebab after Yom Kippur. They're excited for Sukkot, but really the cheshbon based on Levi's cheshbon from Eretz Yisrael is that today is actually 10th of Tishrei. Today is Yom Kippur, right? That's the ouch, right? So he comes and he sees people are eating. He says, well, Amar, Basim Tafshila, the Bavloi Beyom Araba, the Marava. So how good smelling is the food of the Babylonians on the great day of Yom Kippur in the Cheshbon of Bnei Marava of Eretz Yisrael. So today is Yom Kippur, you're eating. How amazing. Says the Gemara, Amri Leh. Well, they tell him, say, well, if you're telling us that in Eretz Yisrael they announced it in a way that we're a day off, we're a day ahead or behind, so you have to now come testify, and we will start fasting. We'll deal with it as Yom Kippur. So fine. As the people tell Levi, so if today is really Yom Kippur, Amri le asid Amarehu lo shamati mipi bedin mekudash. He says, I didn't hear directly from the bedin that's mekudash, and therefore I can't be the one to testify. I could tell you what they're doing, but I can't be a direct testimony. Why not? Why the knowledge by itself is not enough for me to testify is something we have to deal with, we have to learn. But that's a great example of a story that actually something off happened with the cheshbon of Bnei Bavel, which we have to now discuss in the next shiur, B'ezrat Hashem.